Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to all the new subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, then consider subscribing. Let's get into it. So this is the uh, Turbo 400 transmission pan TFS 1001. I'll open that in just a second. And then this to go along with it is the Moroso Turbo 400 gasket 93103. It's 3/16 of an inch thick, and then there's also it's a metal gasket with a rubber coating on it. And you can kind of see right there how thick it is. So that will go with this pan. So let's see what's in the box. So inside, there's this AC Delco. This is the extension tube for the filter, because this is a deeper pan than stock. It's +2 quarts. And then there's a spacer for the support instructions. Who cares about instructions? Just kidding. And then in here, this is the filter that comes with it. And there's also the pan bolts and that long bolt right there, and then that see an O-ring in there. The long bolt goes through, where does it go through? It might be, it's probably underneath the pack there. It supports, that's what supports the filter. You'll have the tube will go in there and then into the valve body, and then the bolt will go on this end, and then this spacer goes on the bolt, like this, and then the bolt goes up through the bottom, and so this will provide the proper support. The bolts on here, they are 12, looks like 12 point. I don't know what size they are yet. There's also a drain plug. That's a 3/8 NPT, National Pipe Thread. And I think that washer is probably for the support bolt. So let's set that aside. This pan is made in USA. That's one thing that I liked about it. It looks to be pretty, nicely machined. You can see the surface on there. Let me see if I can get a good. There's probably a little bit of impurities in the casting. I don't guess any aluminum casting is going to be perfect, not without a lot more money being spent in the manufacturing, and then the price would be a lot higher. So that's the inside of the pan there. The texture on it is kind of rough in there, and then there's the hole on the inside for the drain plug. So here's the outside of the pan. Again, it's kind of got this same, it's a little, so I can get in there close. There you go. So it's got kind of a texture to it. I guess they're all going to be like that if they're cast that way. So I guess just beware of that. That I would think if that were to get oily or greasy or whatever, that texture is probably going to want to hold dirt, but it kind of is what it is. So hopefully we won't be getting a lot of leaking out of this, because Turbo 400s are prone to leaking, and that's one reason why I went with the aluminum pan and then this filter, because I just didn't like the filters you get at your typical auto parts store. They're really thin, and this one's nice and thick. And then also the stamped metal pans, you have to be careful you don't over torque them. Of course, you don't want to over torque this either, but when they're just stamped sheet metal, they just don't seal as well from my experience and what I'm seeing online. So my intention is to use this pan and then the nice thick filter, and hopefully not have any leaks. One other thing on here is you can see the pan is it's machined for those 12-point bolts to fit into. A thought crossed my mind, if you lost one of the bolts, I'm not sure how easy it would be to find one of those, and that's not really a problem, I guess. They have thread locker on them, so I don't think they're going to back out. I've read that sometimes the bolts are prone to loosening, but I guess a little bit of blue thread locker on there ought to keep them put and torque them to the proper spec and all that. One thing I did notice on the inside of this pan, maybe perhaps due to the machine. Let me show you. One thing I did notice from the manufacturing of the pan and machining of the pan, let's see if you can see it or not. There's some, well, focus. There we go. So you can see there's some shavings in there. So I don't want that to get in my transmission, so let's take this thing outside and we'll wash it with some dish soap and clean all that out of there. Just real quick, this is not a sponsored video. I purchased this with my own money, as well as the gasket here. I narrowed it down to 3 different pans. Initially I was leaning towards the Moroso pan. It's a aluminum sheet metal pan. It still has a flange on it, but it's all TIG welded and all that. And I was leaning towards that, but I just $213 was the price I found on it, and that's just a lot of money. So then I crossed that one off the list, and then I narrowed it down to this one, and then there's a B&M pan for the Turbo 400 as well. The differences from what I read between this one, the main difference between this one and the B&M one was that the B&M one, it has a threaded hole for a transmission fluid temperature sensor. If you're going racing, I guess. I'm not going to be racing. This is more for leak, I guess, quote, leak proofing my Turbo 400, if that's possible. I guess we'll find out. So that was the main difference. And also it was that, I'm not for certain absolutely, but the price was about $30 more, I think. This one here, it was this plus the gasket was $160, and that included shipping and everything. That's not it's relative, but that's not inexpensive. But I felt like this was something that was a quality piece, as far as I can tell so far. And it was made in the USA as well. So I don't know about I don't know about the others at all. It didn't really say one way or the other. So anyway, stay tuned, and the next video will be putting this thing on my Buick Riviera on the transmission, and we'll see how it fits. Thanks for watching.